All right, welcome everybody. We are back for another episode of Wellness Decoded. Darlene and I have been tossing around different formats, and you've seen us at our ranch, and we've had some fun out there. And we're back in the studio today, and we are going to be talking a little bit about the semaglutide plateau. That now that a lot of people have been on this for a while, and a lot of people have discussed like different things about the plateau and what to do if you're plateauing early and all of that. But really, we're going to dive into that plateau effect and really provide hopefully some good information that will help you kind of manage through this and maybe not even get to a plateau. A lot of what we do in our
Preferably.
practice, right, is to kind of keep you losing weight in an optimal fashion. We're going to be talking a little bit about that today. So we're super excited and looking forward to really kind of helping more and more patients, go through this part. So, Darlene, let's go ahead and start with why the plateau happens.
Yeah. So, first, I just want to normalize this. A lot of times people don't realize that plateaus are inevitable. Okay. You cannot actually do semaglutide for a long time without actually eventually getting to a plateau.
Some sort of, right?
Yeah, some
Yeah.
sort of plateau. But we want to kind of like prevent as much as we can. But this is the best way to get through the plateau. So whether you're on semaglutide, tirzepatide, or any other GLP-1, your body's constantly adapting to it. Okay, so, and that's kind of like what this medication is. It's adaptable. So metabolic adaptation is a little bit different than, say, hormonal adaptation. Okay, you're going to stay at the same dose with a hormone, but with a metabolic adaptation for semaglutide or the GLP-1 or the GIP or the GLP-2, as you lose weight, you will burn fewer calories because there's less of you to maintain. So someone who is 300 pounds is going to lose a lot more weight every week than that person who is 150 pounds because they're almost to their goal weight, right? So that 300-pound patient was super excited because they're losing 5 pounds a week, but this other person's losing zero point 0.5. Okay. Why is this important? Because the percentage remains very close to the same because the percentage of the body weight is the thing that we're really focusing on here, not
Hmm.
necessarily the poundage. Okay. So keep that in mind. Hormonal changes. So remember how we were saying that your stomach is super full? Your stomach does not release ghrelin and leptin because it's always full. So you don't have that hunger noise, the food noise that goes to your head all the time. Well, as you reduce the amount of ghrelin and leptin, your hunger and satiety hormones, they shift, affecting appetite and energy balance. So, if we start to need more food, yet we're not putting it into our body, our stomach starts to empty slowly, therefore releasing some of that ghrelin and leptin. Okay, so keep that in mind as well. We're continuing down this little road of why these plateaus happen. Okay, next is muscle loss. So some people are like super excited because they're losing tons of weight, but actually, because they're not working out and they're not taking in adequate protein, they are losing a lot of muscle. And remember, muscle weighs 3 times more than fat. So once you get on that actual correct protein amount and muscle and weightlifting, etc., you're going to lose less, but you're going to be happier. Okay. Your clothes are going to fit really well, but you're going to be losing less because remember, the muscle that you're actually keeping or gaining weighs 3 times more than fat.
This really hits home for people of our age and
Yeah.
above, and I try to tell patients when I'm talking to them just about the muscle side of things,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
we have to maintain good muscle mass,
Yeah.
especially as you get older.
Yes, as you get older, because everything's connected to that muscle, right? You got to be able to move your muscles and your joints and your tendons, and your bone has to be healthy. And that's because everything is connected to that muscle. And things don't work as well if we don't have as much muscle. Hence the reason why we tend to hunch as we get older, etc. So muscle, please guys, if you're going to be on semaglutide or tirzepatide, you have to maintain that muscle mass. Okay, so that's super important. And then medication stabilization. Semaglutide, as I told you, is adaptable, right? So it's going to regulate your blood sugar and your appetite, but after several months, your body can reach that new equilibrium and have to go up. maybe after a month, maybe after a week, maybe after 2 weeks, maybe after 3 months. We got some people who will stay at a lower dose, at a 1.7 milligram dose for their whole weight loss journey and never have to go to the 2.5 milligram. That is huge because you always have that option to move up. So don't move up fast. Stay where you are losing weight efficiently, and then you can move up when you're not. Increasing your dose is huge. So just don't be upset if you start to plateau. Just know, no, you haven't failed. You just reach that particular plateau.
Yep.
That is for your body. And that just means you have a new baseline.
Yep. All right. Well, the next segment we talk a little bit about is reassessing your routine. And this comes at a very unique time that we will be introducing you to probably next week, which is going to be a new part of our Optimum Health Wellness, or OHU Wellness is going to be our new parent company. And we have multiple brands that are going to be under that. One of them is going to be called OMEDS. And we have launched that in a kind of a soft approach starting today. And we'll be doing the official launch next week with you, or announcing it a little bit more. But this talks a little bit about reassessing the routine. And this really goes to those people, or our OMEDS product is going to be, that we'll talk about, really goes to those that are on the kind of online, what we call provider in a box model of weight management.
Yeah. And out of the state or the region that we are actually in.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's going to be a lot that we're going to talk a little bit about with that, but reassessing your routine and making sure it constantly is set for you, basically, right? So, yeah.
Where you're not plateauing, right? So if you do, you have the option of moving up on that dose, myomeds.com. So, but when you plateau, it is really, truly a time for you to do this gentle audit of your habits. So habits are huge when it comes to this. Let me just explain. I had a patient come in about 3 weeks ago who hadn't lost weight the whole month. Of course, she was on vacation. So she thinks that maybe she ate a little bit too much. Well, when we started to look at her habits, she was eating a lot of carbs. So we needed to kind of like decrease the carbs. She came in today and actually lost, because it had been 3 weeks since we saw her last, and she had lost 12 pounds in 3 weeks, whereas the month before she hadn't lost anything. So when you look at the difference in what just the stuff that she was putting in her mouth makes, she's still putting in the same amount of food, just different types of food. Okay. So let's talk about that. First, has your calorie intake crept up? Have you increased the amount of calories, like snacking, or your portions start to increase as you are going on this journey? Are you still prioritizing protein? Just like we talked about in the last segment, protein is extremely important. And if you are not taking in the protein, instead you're just gobbling up a bunch of carbs, you are going to be super hungry. You need to aim for about 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. So if you're 150 pounds and you want about 150 grams. Now, keep in mind, a lot of times you can't get that in when you're on semaglutide. So think of liquid proteins, maybe, plant proteins, things like that. And then, are you strength training? Building muscle increases your resting metabolism. So even though the muscle weighs 3 times more than fat, you're increasing your metabolism. So you're actually losing more weight. So this is where the shape scale comes in, or a scale that measures your lean muscle mass, your fat content, your water content, and absolutely everything else. You want to make sure that you're not decreasing that muscle content.
Yep.
Okay. So that's the most important thing, in my opinion, because muscle is huge. And then, are you sleeping well and managing stress? Cortisol can blunt weight loss progress, right? Because if you got a very high cortisol level, then that cortisol is kind of basically stopping your ability to metabolize. Okay. And then, are you consistent with your medication timing and dosing? So we've talked about this, and we went to seminars that spoke about the timing and when you eat before and after. So it's an hour before and an hour after that you do not eat anything, and try to stay consistent on the same day and the same time that week.
Yep. Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So the next one, we talk a little bit about some strategies and how to break through that plateau. At our practice, we try to start from the get go managing your progress so that you don't plateau. But if you do, it's not the end of the world, you know. And so talk to us a little bit about the strategies to break through.
Yeah. So think about it. If you just lost in the last 2 months 20 pounds, your caloric needs have decreased. So if you're maintaining the amount of calories that you were doing 3 months ago, yet you're 20 pounds lighter, then you need to, change that. So you're going to decrease that amount of calories. When you're heavier, you need more. When you're lighter, you need less. So keep that in mind. Okay. 15 to 20 pounds, your calorie needs have changed, and a small caloric adjustment without going extreme can help restart your progress. And then add resistance training because, like we said, that muscle helps with the metabolism. So, even 2 to 3 days a week of lifting weights or body weight exercises can preserve lean muscle mass and boost fat loss. You do not have to go out and buy a ton of exercise equipment. Do your push ups, do your pull ups in your house, do yoga. Yoga is really kind of interesting with resistance.
Hmm.
It really does help. You're using your own body weight as your weight
Hmm.
that you're lifting, quote unquote. So keep that in mind. You don't need a whole lot of stuff. You could just drop down and do some push ups and do that. I had a patient who started doing that. Consistently. He did about 4 sets of push ups throughout the day, work, whatever. And before you knew it, he had lost so much weight, yet build bulkier muscles, which was crazy. And I love this couple because both of them changed the way that they look, feel, and see life now. And so we've actually had them on a podcast before. So
Yeah.
that was really kind of fun. And then three, try a diet break. Just it's been a deficit for a while, so temporarily eating at maintenance instead of a diet, for a week or two is great to help reduce your stress hormones and restore kind of like the motivation. And sometimes when you're focused on reducing calories, it stresses you out. So really don't focus on reducing calories, focus on reducing sugar, carbs, alcohol intake. And then you're not metabolizing what you're taking in, you're metabolizing your stored fat. So I think that is going to be great for that particular diet break. And then evaluate your hydration and sodium. If you don't have something like Pott's disease or deficiency in sodium, then I don't think you should be taking in a ton of sodium, but you also have to look at your hydration status. Are you drinking 3 liters of water a day? It is really important that we take in that water because we're made mostly of water. Okay? So if you're not helping your body with that water and your cellular metabolism, you are not going to lose weight. Okay. And then consider non scale victories, improved energy, clothing fits better, lab numbers look better, your cholesterol's better, you
Mhm.
no longer have elevated liver enzymes. I mean, there's so many different things that you can look at that are non scale. Right. And then talk to your healthcare team. Strategies that are helping others might not be good for you. So address hormonal factors, behavioral support that can make a big difference. Like, are you actually in a situation where you might have a eating disorder? If so, this is something
Or
that
other
we can talk
stress things.
about.
One of the things that we've started, and I'm a true believer of, is meditation.
Oh my goodness,
It has been a
yes.
game changer for Darlene and I.
It's
And
almost like an addiction for me now.
yeah, now we look forward to it every evening, and we do this meditation, and it really has helped me just not constantly think, and my cortisol levels are down. And so if you're not meditating, really give some serious thought to
Mm,
that, because this talks a lot
yeah.
about what she talked about here with the mental health side of things.
Absolutely. So I'm going to bring up another little subject that I had another patient bring up to me the other day. They are a smoker and their cortisol levels are always low. Why? Because they're a smoker. When she stopped smoking and she went through that process of trying to get off the smoking, her cortisol levels went sky high. And so we started to have her meditate and we started to put her on adaptogens to bring down that cortisol level. And it actually helped her get over the smoking. And so that is so cool and such another subject that we'll talk about at another time because cortisol levels, the reason we become addicted to certain things is because it brings our cortisol down and makes us feel good, right? Alcohol, drugs, smoking, right? So anyway, that is for another day, but
Hmm.
keep that in mind, okay? We don't want you smoking. Don't start it. We don't want you drinking because you are stressed, because then that's going to start that cortisol issue,
Yeah.
okay? Right.
All right. So obviously we move to the next one. We talk a little bit just about the mindset and the motivation side of things and just understanding that this is a journey and to be listening to your provider and to be very conscious of what they do and be careful of becoming a Google doctor. We have a lot of patients that end up asking, what about this? What about that? What about, great. You can bring those up when you come in for your visit and things like that. But be very conscious of when you go to decide you're going to take this journey, I think,
Hmm.
is that you have your questions ready and talk to your provider and do your research and things like that. And just know that we always talk about this in pretty much every podcast. This is not a magic pill, and unfortunately, it's gotten that name, and
Yeah.
so you got to be ready for it. So, talk a little bit about that mindset and motivation.
Yeah. Well, the truth is weight loss is not linear at all. So I like this analogy like you're climbing stairs and then you have these flat landings that you get to between levels. Plateau is it's like your body's way of saying I need this minute, I need this landing to adjust. And then you can start climbing again. Okay. So keep that in mind. This is so cool when you think that way because that reduces your cortisol. Instead of stressing about your plateau, you're going to be able to efficiently relax for a second and then start increasing again. And then use this time to build your consistency. Don't chase perfection because no one's perfect. Trust the process, focus on health gains, and remember progress is progress, even when it is not visible on the scale, but you're feeling good. You've lost nothing that week. Don't stress. Okay. Just keep trucking on one foot in front of the other and it'll catch up to you again.
Right. Yeah, I think one of the things as we kind of start to wrap this up is, there's always going to be a reason why something is happening,
Mm.
and don't you're the medical professional, but one of the things that I know for myself is that I don't look at this as one stop shop, that, this pill is going to do everything for me. There was hormonal problems for me. My cortisol levels were through the roof. One of the things I told, and I was talking with a patient and I said, it's not meant to allow you to keep on doing and eating the crap or you living the life that you've been living, and you just don't have the repercussions. You don't gain the weight or you're not stressed anymore, things like that. There's fundamental changes that you have to make along with this, right?
For sure.
And that's the cool part about this functional medicine, integrative medicine, where we're doing East meets West. I love that aspect of it because I get so many people like, what is integrative medicine? And I remember when you told me for the first time, because I was like kind of thinking like, what is it? And it's East meets West type situation, and we're just taking the best of all of that information,
Right.
stuff that happened 1,000 years ago that we still do from a holistic standpoint, that the different cultures have been doing for thousands of years,
Right.
and then Western medicine coming in
Yeah.
and the advancements of that.
Yeah.
So think about those
Yeah.
things.
For sure. I mean, putting both of them together is amazing because Western medicine has life changing things, surgeries, medications that can help with life or death.
Mm.
Eastern, I mean, it's just so wonderful to be able to do things in a more natural way too,
Yeah, I
if you
love it.
can. Yeah.
That's awesome. So, if today's episode resonated with you, please give us that thumbs up. Like it, share it. That's how we really have the opportunity. The more and more we can get, a following and people seeing this, the better we can get this out to more and more people. And please consider subscribing. That really does help in
Mhm.
our goal with this of really educating folks and doing what we call, why we named it, Wellness Decoded. There's much out there, that all kinds of information that you really need to decipher. And hopefully with, Darlene's, medical background and with everything that she's gone through, she can really provide you that guide, that path. And so we're super happy about, so far it's the people that have been joining us along with this journey. So please, consider doing that as well. We absolutely look forward to seeing you on the next one. Love you very much. And I think that's it for today, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Hey,
Love you.
love you. Bye.
Bye.